Good day, folks. The Pro Audio Journalist here. Behringer has released the 676, which is a clone of the Universal Audio 6176, and I believe it's a hit. This is not only an exciting release, but it's also a really smart move by Behringer, and I wanted to discuss why. My attraction to this unit personally is that I consider the 676 or the 6176 two units in one. You're getting a tube preamp and a compressor. To me, it's two units. Especially for the price, that's really attractive. I've owned two UA 6176s and I also own two LA 610s, which is the 610 preamp and an LA 2A type compressor. Both were exceptional units and, in my opinion, the best you could buy. The build quality was top tier, the sound quality was the same, and both had top quality components. When I owned the 6176, or the two of the 6176s, I also had two Universal Audio Rev Ds, and I compared them quite a bit. And I go against the grain here, or go against the trend, but I prefer the compressor in the 6176 to the Universal Audio 1176 Rev Ds. It really had a tighter sound, and it sat vocals in a mix perfectly. And it was also my go-to for snare. It was absolutely great on snare. I tend to think the release from Behringer is a power move, and the 676 is a credibility piece. If I'm not mistaken, this is Behringer's first tube unit, or high voltage tube unit. The release of this unit is a statement. It's a statement of, look, we can play with the big boys. It's a statement of, here's a unit of prestige and pedigree. Look what we can do. I've only seen a few pictures of the circuit of the 676, but I believe they have stuck to the original schematic, and honestly, I'd bet my bottom dollar that it sounds pretty much identical. It was definitely a well thought out decision to release the 676 at this time. It was also a bit of an experiment for Behringer. They're testing their tube circuit out in the wild, mainly for durability, but I believe Behringer is also testing the water for upcoming tube circuit releases. And their releases in general, I assume. Behringer, not that long ago, posted on Facebook the possibility of them doing a Fairchild 670 clone. So I think the 676 is an evolutionary step into boutique territory to release more complex units like the Fairchild 670. I commented on their Facebook post that a clone of the Manley Massive Passive would just be amazing. It's a fairly straightforward circuit, even though it's plentiful, but it'd be hard to refuse, and I reckon I'd have one in my rack. If you saw my studio, you'd notice that gear-wise, I really only like the best of the best. But this Behringer gear is really attractive. I mean, it's going to change the home audio segment for sure. And the quality of recordings coming out of home studios is going to improve with things like this. It's only going to do good things for the industry. But I also think if these circuits are true to the original schematic, and they sound identical to the original units, then it's going to attract professionals as well. I mean, the economy's really hard at the moment, so getting a boutique unit at a lower price point is really attractive. Behringer are really going to shake things up in the industry. If this is anything like their synth game, well, they covered every base in the synth game. They're still doing that. So if they're just going to release piece after piece after piece in the pro audio hardware world, I mean, it's going to affect companies like Warm Audio, Golden Age Project, Lindell Audio, and most obviously Universal Audio in this case. It's going to take a chunk of the market, and healthy competition is a good thing. In all my experience, I really do believe that a lower priced unit can sound just as good as its higher priced counterpart. People wonder where the cost savings come in, and Behringer have really streamlined the manufacturing process. Plus, they're buying components on a mass scale, and it is offshore manufacturing. So the sound quality doesn't have to suffer. It's the other areas that are being cut. It's pretty exciting. Behringer's really going to shake things up with this release and upcoming releases. having previously owned the Universal Audio 6176 and the LA 610, I'm interested in how these new Behringer units feel, because the original units, the build quality was the best you could get. I mean, they were military spec units, and they were designed for day-to-day work. They were designed to be used commercially. They were designed to last. And I've heard a Gearslots member describe, the feel of the knobs and switches, especially the selector knobs. It had a metal on metal feel. Really felt like something substantial. And I mean, they weighed a ton. So yeah, I'm really interested just to feel the Behringer unit, to see if they have longevity and if they're going to last. And I mean, things have evolved, so even cheap switches and cheap pots are pretty good these days. I mean, I bought Behringer gear back in my teens when I was first starting out. I can't say that I ever had anything break, but I did hear a few complaints about the Behringer 369, the Neve compressor clone. People were complaining that some of the knobs, the pots, were very stiff, in not decent quality. And I think Behringer really needs to address these things to be taken seriously. I also know that the Behringer Neve channel strip, the preamp and EQ, they got the concentric knobs backwards. And I do think that affects sales. I don't know if they realize it. Maybe they just got in their head that the circuit's so great it doesn't matter. But if people are buying a clone, they want the real experience. They're in the business of making Gucci bags, No one wants to buy a Gucci bag with a few alterations. They want to buy an exact replica. Behringer need to make a commitment to get the finer details right, and if something's wrong, to go back and fix it. I was really surprised on Gearslots that more people weren't up in arms about the dual concentric knobs being backwards. That's a big deal to me, because the user wants the real experience. It really does scare some buyers. If a product has some design discrepancies, it makes the buyer wonder what other corners have been cut. I digress. Cosmetically, they have got the 676 pretty right. It does look close to an original. Yeah, if it sounds identical, it's going to sell like crazy, and I think professionals will adopt it too. When I owned a 6176, it was never left sitting there in the studio. It was always utilised. But I used it for bass, and I was running the compressor section into the tube section for the EQ and the tube tone. So I was compressing the bass first, so it was holding down the low end, and then running it into the tube section with the EQ, and then boosting the low end there. This really controls the low end, and it's one of the occasions that I EQ after the compressor rather than EQing into the compressor. It makes sense. It's holding down the bass first, so if you add a ton of low end to your bass guitar and then compress it, it's really going to react to the low end that you've added. So if you compress it first, it's going to hold it down, and then add a touch of low end later. I used it on snare, and I kind of did the same thing. I was running the snare into SSL EEQs, because you really can't beat them on snare, and then running into the compressor section of the 6176, giving it some spank, and then sending it to the tube section. It kind of rounds it out. It takes the edge off the transient, but it still has punch. There's so many ways you can use this unit. It's so versatile. It's like any good unit, I guess. You get one and then you realize you need 6 of them. I know from interviews and publications that I've read that Joe Ciccarelli likes to use the 610 on vocals. I believe he used it on Alanis Morissette's vocals, and he mentioned that in a Pensado's Place interview. I think we all know that Joe has great taste, and I'd bet my bottom dollar that it's because of the classy mid-range the 610 provides. I mean, the 610 dates back to recording Elvis. It's been around for a while. I'm pretty sure they used it to record Hendrix, and that was a time when the mid-range was really important on playback devices, and the mid-range in the 610 is just, it's top-notch. You won't find any better. I also used the pair of 6176s on guitar bus quite a bit, depending on the song, like indie type songs with hard pan guitars. The 610 has a bit of a mid-range quality to it, and the mid-range is so detailed, but it's got this glassy, polished feel. Yeah, I said glassy, not classy. It has a sheen to it. It's certainly classy too, though. Yeah, this unit is just so versatile. I think it will sell like hotcakes, and I don't think it's a unit that will just be used now and again in the studio. It's a workhorse. It's designed to be a workhorse, and it's something that you'd use on every session. I guess we'll just have to see how this unit does. I'm pretty interested to see if Gearsluts members post blind tests, because I really believe a 6176 Universal Audio owner would buy one of these anyway. There's got to be guys out there that own a 6176 and they think, maybe I can swap it out, and for the price you sell your Universal Audio, you can buy 2 other hardware pieces, and that comes in really handy if you're an analog guy or a hybrid guy, just having more channels of processing power. I really don't believe Behringer would put this through R&D and not have an original unit there to compare it to. The engineers have really got to get it to a point where it is identical. I hope their engineers aren't a cop-out and just think, oh, well, that's close enough, release this unit. I hope they're all popping champagne and thinking, geez, we match this unit identically. So yeah, psychologically, this is a good release. This improves Behringer's image, I believe. And their image has just been getting better and better. They've killed it in the synth game, and they're about to do the same thing in hardware. So if they are matching sound quality, it's really going to shake up the industry. So, okay, to summarize, the 676 is a well thought out power play release from Behringer. It was chosen to be a credibility piece and to get people talking. It's somewhat testing the market for more boutique gear to come. Even if some customers don't buy the 676, it's getting them excited for what's possible and what can be released in the future. The unit is just so versatile, it's really hard to say no at $600. And we're talking about a tone that has been on hit records for decades. Okay guys, I'm the Pro Audio Journalist. Please like and subscribe. Feel free to comment below. I'd love to interact with you guys. I really want to build a community with this channel. I'm definitely interested in your thoughts and opinions on this unit. Let me know down below what units you'd like to see from Behringer in the future. Seems the possibilities are endless. I've got a couple of controversial videos coming. I'll see you in the next one.